find out that I've been drinking non-alcoholic beer the entire game. This is the most amount of shame I've ever felt in myself.
Who was the person that tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, just so you know?
Taylor.
Oh, no shit.
Because she said Travis had just been doing the same thing and he's ashamed. I'm like, time out, Travis, there's non-alcoholic beer here? We had both been drinking these
Budweiser Zeros.
thinking they were just some like 0 calorie
Budweiser.
Not thinking it was
Making the
zero.
right choice.
Yeah. I'm just like, I just wasted 3/4 of my life. So ashamed. Anyways, so
Jason Kelce, the legendary Philadelphia Eagles center who dominated NFL fields for over a decade, sitting across from podcast hosts Will Compton and Taylor Lewin on Bussin' with the Boys, his face flushed with embarrassment as he recounts one of the most mortifying moments of his life, all thanks to his soon-to-be sister-in-law, Taylor Swift. The date was September 2nd, 2025, and Jason had a story that would make even the toughest NFL player cringe with secondhand embarrassment. I've got a very embarrassing story from last night about beer, Jason began, his voice already carrying the weight of someone who knew he was about to expose himself to ridicule. The scene was set at a college football game, specifically the Cincinnati Bearcats versus the Nebraska Cornhuskers, where Jason found himself watching alongside Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, completely unaware that he was about to become the unwitting star of his own comedy show. Jason settled into his seat, ready to enjoy some cold beers while watching the action unfold on the field, casually reaching for what he believed were regular alcoholic beverages. He wasn't pounding them back aggressively, just maintaining a steady pace, one beer every so often, the way any normal football fan might do during a lengthy game. For 3 entire quarters, Jason sipped his drinks, completely oblivious to the fact that something was terribly wrong with this picture. He felt perfectly normal, maybe even wondering why he wasn't feeling the usual buzz that comes with drinking multiple beers over several hours, but he didn't think too much about it, assuming maybe the excitement of the game was keeping him sharp. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift, with her keen observational skills that have made her one of the world's most successful songwriters, was watching this entire scenario unfold with growing amusement and perhaps a touch of concern for Jason's complete lack of awareness. It wasn't until well into the 3rd quarter that Taylor Swift, unable to contain herself any longer, decided to break the news that would shatter Jason's beer-drinking confidence forever. She looked at him with that knowing smile and delivered the devastating blow. He had been drinking non-alcoholic beer for the majority of the game. The realization hit Jason like a freight train, and not the good kind that gets you pumped up for a big play, but the kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew about yourself and your ability to function as a competent adult in social situations. It was the most amount of shame I ever felt, Jason confessed to the podcast hosts, his voice carrying the kind of raw emotion usually reserved for discussing career-ending injuries or championship losses. The shame wasn't just about drinking the wrong beer, it was about the complete and utter failure of his basic sensory abilities, his inability to distinguish between alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages despite having consumed countless beers throughout his adult life. He found himself asking the kind of existential questions that keep you awake at night. What the F***K is wrong with you, Jason? It was a moment of pure vulnerability from a man who had spent his career being virtually unshakable on the football field, reduced to questioning his fundamental competence by a simple case of mistaken beverage identity. Travis Kelce, caught in the crossfire of his brother's embarrassment, was probably experiencing his own mixture of amusement and secondhand shame, realizing that he too had been unknowingly participating in this alcohol-free charade while sitting next to one of the most famous pop stars in the world. If you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes stories about the Kelce brothers, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we've got more incredible tales coming your way. But Jason's embarrassing encounters with Taylor Swift didn't stop at the non-alcoholic beer incident, because just weeks earlier, during Taylor Swift's appearance on the New Heights podcast on August 13th, 2025, another equally mortifying story had been revealed, this time involving Jason's panic-inducing encounter with British royalty. The story takes us back to Taylor Swift's Eras tour in London, where the stars aligned for what should have been a magical meet and greet between American football royalty and actual British royalty. Prince William arrived at the concert with his children, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, ready to experience Taylor Swift's legendary show and meet the famous couple and Travis's equally famous brother. For most people, meeting members of the royal family would be the kind of once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that you prepare for mentally and emotionally, rehearsing proper etiquette and making sure you present your absolute best self. For Jason Kelce, however, this meeting became the source of intense anxiety and internal panic that revealed just how much the larger-than-life NFL star could be reduced to a bundle of nerves in the face of actual royalty. Taylor Swift, with her storytelling prowess, painted a vivid picture of Jason's pre-meeting mental breakdown during her podcast appearance. She described watching Jason go into what could only be described as full panic mode, his usual confidence evaporating as he contemplated the proper way to interact with Prince William and his children. The man who had stared down some of the most intimidating defensive players in NFL history was suddenly terrified of making a social faux pas in front of the future King of England. Jason's internal monologue, as revealed through Taylor's recounting, and his own later admissions, was a masterclass in overthinking social situations. He found himself obsessing over every detail. How should he greet them? What should he say? Was his behavior appropriate for meeting royalty? And perhaps most importantly, was he being disrespectful in any way? The weight of representing not just himself, but American football culture in general seemed to crash down on him all at once. The specific trigger for Jason's anxiety appeared to be his uncertainty about whether holding a beer during the royal meet and greet was appropriate protocol. While most people might have simply set down their drink before meeting the royals, Jason's mind spiraled into a complex analysis of royal etiquette, social norms, and the potential for international incident if he handled the situation incorrectly. Taylor Swift watched this internal struggle with the kind of fascination that comes from seeing a usually unflappable person completely lose their composure over something relatively simple. The contrast between Jason's on-field confidence and his social anxiety around royalty created a humanizing moment that showed even the most accomplished athletes have their vulnerable spots. His worry about appearing disrespectful revealed a genuinely thoughtful side of his personality, someone who cared deeply about making a good impression and honoring the significance of the moment. The actual meeting, when it finally happened, went smoothly, with Prince William, Prince George, and Princess Charlotte proving to be gracious and down-to-earth. But Jason's pre-meeting panic had already cemented itself as another legendary story in the growing collection of Jason Kelce's most embarrassing moments. These stories, both the non-alcoholic beer incident and the royal family meeting anxiety, paint a picture of Jason Kelce that extends far beyond his football achievements. They show us a man who, despite his professional success and public confidence, remains refreshingly human in his ability to find himself in awkward situations and his willingness to laugh at himself afterward. The fact that these stories have become public through his relationships with Taylor Swift and his appearances on various podcasts demonstrates the kind of authentic storytelling that has made the Kelce brothers such compelling figures in the entertainment world.